What happens when we die? A question that has haunted humanity since the dawn of consciousness. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or only darkness? Do we awaken in another world, or are we simply erased from existence? Every civilization has sought answers, from the pharaohs who built grand tombs to ensure safe passage into the afterlife, to the monks who spent lifetimes preparing their souls for what lay beyond. Some speak of eternal paradise. Others whisper of endless cycles of rebirth. And then, there are those who claim the afterlife is something else entirely, something far more mysterious and far more terrifying. What if death is not the end? What if it is only the beginning of something far greater, or far worse? Tonight, we will explore what the ancients knew, what modern science has glimpsed, and what those who have stepped to the very edge of death have revealed. But be warned, once you learn the truth, you may never see life or death the same way again. Welcome to the hidden mysteries of the afterlife. Throughout history, the afterlife has been a subject of great mystery, feared by some and embraced by others. But across all cultures and beliefs, one truth remains constant: the soul does not simply vanish. The Egyptians believed that after death, the soul, known as the Ka, journeyed to the Hall of Judgment, where Anubis, the jackal-headed god, weighed the heart of the deceased. If the heart was heavy with sin, the soul was devoured by Ammit, the devourer of the dead. If it was pure, the soul was granted entry into Aru, the field of reeds, and eternal paradise. The Tibetan Buddhists, however, spoke of the Bardo, a realm between death and rebirth. Here, the soul is confronted by its own mind. Those who recognize the illusions of this state achieve liberation, but those who cling to fear and ignorance are drawn back into the cycle of reincarnation, their next life determined by the karma they accumulated in the last. Christianity introduced the concept of a final judgment, where souls are sent to eternal paradise or eternal damnation. Yet hidden within ancient Christian mysticism were whispers of something deeper, texts that spoke of purgatory, of wandering spirits trapped between realms, and of forbidden rituals to contact those beyond the veil. But there are darker, stranger beliefs, esoteric traditions that suggest the afterlife is not a destination, but a labyrinth. That the soul, upon leaving the body, must navigate a treacherous path of entities, illusions, and trials before it can ascend, or become trapped forever. These beliefs, found in the secret teachings of the Gnostics, the Hermeticists, and even in some indigenous shamanic traditions, speak of entities that feed on lost souls, of false lights that lure spirits into endless loops of reincarnation, and of those who have learned how to escape. So what is the truth? Are we judged? Reborn? Do we wander, lost in an unseen dimension? Or is the afterlife something far more complex, something deliberately hidden from us? What truly happens when we die? It is a question as old as thought itself, yet no answer has ever satisfied both the skeptic and the seeker. But across mystical traditions, near-death experiences, and ancient wisdom, a pattern begins to emerge, one that suggests death is not the end, but a transition. Many who have crossed the veil and returned speak of an overwhelming light, a presence so vast, so all-encompassing, that words fail to describe it. They speak of a tunnel, a passage through which the soul is drawn, as if returning home. But not all describe this journey in the same way. Some experience the embrace of departed loved ones, the warmth of divine guidance. Others, however, describe something far more unsettling, a realm where voices whisper from the shadows, where figures stand watching, waiting, a place where one must choose or be chosen. Certain esoteric traditions claim that what happens after death depends entirely on one's awareness. The Tibetan Book of the Dead speaks of the Bardo, an in-between state where the soul is confronted with illusions, terrifying and divine alike. Recognizing them as mere reflections of one's own mind is the key to liberation. But fail, and one is drawn back into the cycle of rebirth, or worse, into realms of suffering beyond comprehension. Many mystics warn that the afterlife is not a singular destination, but a web of possibilities. Some speak of tricksters, entities masquerading as guides, who lead souls into false paradises or endless loops of reincarnation. Others tell of gates and thresholds, where only those who hold true knowledge may pass beyond. But what is beyond these thresholds? Some say it is oblivion. Others say it is the true reality, the place from which we first came. But to reach it, one must first remember. The journey beyond death is not a singular path, but a crossroads. Some find themselves in realms of serenity, places described as gardens of light or cities of gold. Others awaken in landscapes shaped by their own unresolved fears, their unfinished lessons materializing as obstacles before them. But the question remains, who decides where we go? According to many esoteric traditions, the afterlife is not dictated by a single judgment, but by the consciousness of the soul itself. The ancient Egyptians believed that after death, one's heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the principle of truth and balance. If it was too heavy with regret, deception, or selfishness, the soul was devoured by the void, ceasing to exist. If it was light, the soul was granted passage into paradise. But in other traditions, the soul must navigate its own inner landscape. In Hindu and Buddhist teachings, the karma accumulated throughout one's life determines the next stage of existence. Some are drawn back into the cycle of rebirth, while others ascend to higher planes. And then, there are those who become trapped. These are the souls who remain tethered, bound by unfinished business, unfulfilled desires, or attachments too strong to release. In many cultures, they are called restless spirits, lingering between worlds, seeking closure or vengeance. Some become what we call ghosts, but others, they become something far worse. Some say these lost souls are consumed by hunger, not for food, but for the energy of the living. And in rare cases, they do not remain passive observers. Instead, they find their way back. This is where the veil becomes thin. The interactions between the living and the dead are not always accidental. Sometimes the door is left open, and not everything that crosses through is what it seems. And so, the greatest question of the afterlife remains, are we truly prepared for what awaits on the other side? Or will we be among those who never truly leave? If the afterlife is more than just a myth, then what does that mean for us? Here, now, in the world of the living, can we prepare for what lies beyond? Can we shape our destiny before we cross the threshold? Across every ancient tradition, we find guidance, methods to ensure a peaceful transition beyond death, to avoid becoming one of the lost. From the Tibetan Book of the Dead to the Egyptian Book of Going Forth by Day, these teachings offer something more than superstition. They provide a map, a way to navigate the unknown. The first step, awareness. Many believe that the state of mind at the moment of death determines the journey ahead. Fear, attachment, and confusion can trap the soul. But those who have trained their minds through meditation, ritual, and spiritual discipline describe a different experience, a sense of clarity, of moving toward the light without hesitation. Meditation on death is not morbid. It is an ancient practice meant to free us from the grip of fear. The Tibetan monks practice Phawa, the art of conscious dying, where one learns to transfer their soul beyond the body at will. In Egyptian rites, the Ko, the vital essence, is prepared through sacred knowledge, ensuring it does not wander aimlessly in the afterlife. Even in modern spiritualism, lucid dreaming is believed to mirror the transition, training the soul for the moment it steps beyond the veil. But preparation is not just about technique, it is about living. Every action, every thought, every emotion we cultivate shapes our energetic footprint. In the Hindu concept of karma, every deed ripples through existence, determining the landscape of our next journey. Some say that to prepare for death, one must first master life itself. And what of those who have already crossed over? Some believe we can still reach them, not through fear-driven seances, but through intention. Ancestral veneration, prayer, and guidance rituals exist in nearly every culture. If the dead can hear us, then perhaps they are not as far away as we think. So we return to the question, what will really happen in the afterlife? No single answer exists, yet the clues are all around us. In the wisdom of the ancients, in the whispers of the departed, and in the depths of our own being. Perhaps the real secret is not just in knowing what happens after we die, but in how we choose to live before that moment arrives. The afterlife, an enigma that has haunted humanity since the dawn of time. Every culture, every belief system offers a different answer, yet a singular truth remains. The journey does not end at death. Whether we find ourselves in the light of divine realms, trapped in the echoes of unfinished lives, or drawn toward rebirth, something awaits us beyond the veil. The question is not just what awaits us, but how we will meet it. Will we step forward with fear or with understanding? With regret or with readiness? The way we live shapes the way we depart, and perhaps even the path we take beyond. In the end, the greatest mystery is not what lies beyond the final breath, but the whispers of eternity that reach out to us even now. The dead are never truly silent. The question is, are we willing to listen?